I know. Based on the title and the thumbnail of this video, I know you are going to say, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. How can you compare sleep with death? Like, oh, these two, they don't look alike. They are not the same. Sleep is not death. How can you be comparing Nigeria's healthcare system to Canada's healthcare system? But wait, before you nail me to the cross, I have something to say, okay? I have a story to tell. But one thing I do know is that Nigerians living in Canada, or even some immigrants living in Canada, can relate with what I am about to say about Canada's healthcare system. Hey y'all, thanks for being here. If you're new here, my name is Dupe and I am a Nigerian living in Canada as a permanent resident, and I share about Canada from my point of view, mindset, and also my productivity lifestyle using project management skills. Okay, so a bit of my experience. I've had some health challenges since I got to Canada. Not that I am always sick or something. The whole of my 3 decades in Nigeria, I can actually count the number of times that I've made a visit to the hospital, but since I got to Canada, things changed with my health. So I found myself seeing doctors more and, needing answers to all of the changes that has been happening in my body. Sometimes last year, February, I was having chest pain that was beginning to give me a serious concern, and my doctor said it could be pain from an impact that happened when I was young that's resurfacing. I was confused. She gave me nothing for the pain, by the way. The pain was getting worse, and many times I would go to her. She would say she didn't think anything was wrong with me because she has checked and she didn't see anything. So I asked her to send me for H. pylori test. Reason being that I had been positive to H. pylori before, so I was thinking maybe this whole pain was kind of ulcer pain or maybe acid reflux that's I was experiencing. And I was actually the one telling my doctor all of this, making sure that I was involved in everything that concerned my health. So I was giving her pointers, things that we could check, So she eventually sent me to a hospital to get a test done. And listen guys, this is something that you really want to hear. I waited for about 5 months to get this H. pylori test done. Yep. I actually did not think I had H. pylori anymore. I just wanted to be sure that the H. pylori is not negative, because when I had it and I treated it, I did not go for a retest to know if it has turned to negative or not. So I wanted to confirm that if I was still positive, maybe she would start thinking maybe I was having some ulcer going on. So I waited for that time to get the test done. About 5 months, guys. 5 months to get H. pylori test done in Canada. You have to wait. And that is one of the problems that I have with this country. The long waiting time to get something done. Okay, so the result came out like I have envisioned. It was negative. And again, I went back to her and told her that she should do a repeat of a particular test for me. And when the result of that one came out, she immediately referred me to an internal doctor. And I got back home, sat down, called the office of the internal doctor to book an appointment, and they gave me another 2 weeks to come for appointments to be seen by an internal doctor, a stomach doctor. So what all of this means is that from February to waiting 5 months till waiting for another 2 weeks to see an internal medicine doctor, I was in pains and I was given no medication. I still cannot say that she was actively looking to get something out. And at a point I was like, I'm not coming here repeatedly because I am looking forward to get a diagnosis, but it just doesn't make sense that I have been in pains for many months and I have used no medication at all and nothing has been done to it. And I just go back home and Google my symptoms, get scared, get afraid, thinking of so many things. Because Google, oh my God, Googling your symptoms, bro, please don't do it. So I eventually see the internal doctor and I was pointing to where the pains were, because they were like underneath my ribcage like this, radiating to the back, almost going to the shoulder right here. And the man was like, madam, see, I don't understand what you're pointing out. Okay, this is not stomach, this is where your stomach is. And as far as this concerned, whatever is happening to me, he really can't say, because he's a stomach doctor, and where I'm pointing out is not stomach. Guys, I left the doctor's office so confused, so devastated. I was tired because how can I be in pain for several months? Several months, guys. One thing I was terrible was that I was in pain. So in December, February to December, in December, I woke up one day and I decided to go to the emergency room. Going to the emergency in Canada means cancel all of your calendar for the day. Cancel everything you're doing for the day, because even if it's just 10 people you meet at the emergency room, it can actually take you about 4 hours, 6 hours before you leave that place. It is crazy. The emergency doesn't emergency as far as I'm concerned. So after a few hours, I was eventually seen by a doctor. I was so lucky to be attended to by this doctor that was extremely patient and ran more than 3 tests on me that very day. Guys, I wanted to cry. I was so emotional because this was just something that I needed. Okay, I just wanted to be checked. I wanted to be tested in different ways, and this was the very first person that would actually test me, check all of my organs. He did a very wide blood test for me, and also did a urine test for me that very day. When they were looking for other things and then they couldn't ascertain some things, they requested for urine test to be done, and the man came with quite a number of prognoses, all of the things that he was thinking. He checked my tummy. Like, that was actually the first time someone would check the whole of my body, asked me to be responding to pains wherever I feel it. So that was actually the very first person, and I was so happy. I was grateful to meet that doctor that very day. After about 5 hours or thereabouts, he came back and said, okay, Dupe, I have checked everything. We have looked at all of your results, but it remains one thing. We've ruled out these other ones, but it remains just one thing. Now, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to write a prescription for you. He also asked me if I had allergy to some medication, which I said yes. He said he was going to write me a prescription, though the drug is not very strong compared to what he would have given me if I had said I could take that drug, but I said no, I couldn't. So he wrote a prescription, over the counter medication, to just go and buy it, maybe like $5 or $7, to just go get it, use it for 2 weeks, and if the symptom persists, I should return. But if it doesn't, that means we have a diagnosis. Ladies and gentlemen, apparently what I was experiencing from February to December was acid reflux, guys. GERD, acid reflux. I used this just in 2 days, and all of the pains at my back, my shoulder, and everything just subsided. Ow! February, wait, let me count. February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 10 months. 10 months of pains just to get diagnosis that I'm having acid reflux, that the acid is burning my life, and that all I needed was this. Some medication that's not even up to $10, and I was in pains. This would never have happened if I was in Nigeria. I said what I said, because the question is, what if it was more than that? What if we were dealing with something more serious, something more terminal? And that is one of the reasons why a lot of people also leave Canada. 3 or 4 months before I left Nigeria, I was experiencing some certain women issues. I couldn't wrap my head around it, so I went to a federal medical center in Abuja. I registered that day with, I think, 200 naira or so. Saw a doctor that very day. Was sent for an ultrasound that very day. Submitted urine and blood sample that very day. Got my ultrasound results that very day. Returned to the overworked and tired doctor that very day. Got a diagnosis that very day and started my treatment that very day, while we waited for the rest of the urine and blood sample to come out later in a few days. But the important part of it was that I started treatment the same day I went to the hospital to complain about my symptoms. I miss Nigeria. Like, I miss that aspect of Nigeria. I miss that aspect of Nigeria's healthcare system. Another one, I mentioned earlier that I had once tested positive to H. pylori before, right? I was having stomach pains. I was having stomach pains, and I went to a diagnostic center in Abuja, did a consultation with their in-house doctor, and I asked them to perform any and every form of test they could possibly think of to find out where this pain was coming from, why I was having this pain. And that very day, they did all manner of tests on me that you can never think of. All manner of samples were taken out of me that you can ever think of, except my feces. except my feces. I wasn't ready to get, violated that way. But they conducted everything that they could ever think of that very day on me. A few days later, I got my H. pylori test result and it was positive. And I started my HOSA therapy immediately. That wouldn't have happened here in Canada. Imagine if I was positive to H. pylori and maybe I didn't have the means to go pay for the test at Life Lab, and I had to wait for the hospital to call me for the test. That means I would be in constant pain for as long as I have to wait for to get tested by the hospital here in Canada. I have another thing to say, okay? Some of you know that I have skin issues on my hand, on my palms. I'm wearing a long sleeve so you can't see it. Maybe I'll put a picture of it in the video. When this skin issue developed, it developed when I got to Canada, change of environment. I told you my health has been somehow since I got here. And when this skin issue developed, my doctor gave me a cream which I used for 2 weeks and there was no improvement at all. So she referred me to a dermatologist. And it took 3 months to see a dermatologist. Meaning my symptoms was getting worse, my palms was getting terrible, scaly, thick, painful, hot. I couldn't do anything for all that 3 months. Just, waiting to get seen by a doctor. I was in great discomfort. I was watching my palms got worse, and the skin issue was spreading all over my body. For 3 months, I was waiting, just managing the symptoms with whatever it was I was getting from Google. That wouldn't have happened if it was in Nigeria. And that, my brothers and sisters, is why I miss Nigeria. The fact that we get diagnosed quickly and also start treatment immediately. In fact, wait guys, let's give bosa to all of these doctors in Nigeria, because with all of the bad systems going on, with everything going on, they still attend to us. And it's like one doctor to 1,000 people in Nigeria. And as long as you get yourself to the hospital, you still get seen. You get seen no matter how, and you get treatment almost immediately no matter how. Yes, we pay for the service in Nigeria. It depends on how much you have, yes. But in Canada, where you want to say it's because it's free, is it like really free? Because we are still paying taxes. Maybe if we are not paying that much in tax, because a lot of people are paying so much in tax. Some people are paying 20% of their annual income in tax. Some people are paying 40 or 45% of their annual income in tax. So maybe, just maybe, if people are not paying that much in tax, maybe they will still have some residual that they can use to take care of their health. You know what I mean? When we actually look at it, which one would you really want to? Would you really say, okay, yes, Canada's healthcare system, which is like, oh, very good, very standard, but you may have died before you even get treated. And that is why a whole lot of people leave this country. Yes, people do leave this country to go get treated, maybe in the US, or even go back to Nigeria to get seen on time. Like, it is a thing here. There is nothing new about that. Everyone that's living in Canada knows this part of the healthcare system that is just terrible. And I would be like, it is just not possible for me to be in Nigeria and not walk into a clinic, a hospital, and get tested that very day and even go back home and start treatment. It will never be possible if it was in Canada. And that's, my brothers and sisters, is why I'm giving Nigeria a thumbs up on that and Canada a thumbs down. Let's just be praying that we'll not fall sick. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let's continue this conversation in the comment section.